College baseball is well and truly back. We've got big name players showing out in the spotlight. We've got weekend series upsets. We've got cycles and complete games and tons to discuss. What you've got is college baseball now.
Yeah, ain't no problems, ain't no problems. That one problem with me, no. Yeah. Let me talk to the chat. They know I was gone for a minute, had to BRB. Had to grab a couple wins with I DID. They sleeping on the kid, I had to do it BIG. I can never be average, and they want a problem with the boy, they don't want no static. I don't need your cosign running with God. Wanna test that, tell them what's happening. Took control, run the game. Best believe I'm shining, dog. Counting in my wins, yeah, I love it when they count me out. Off the leash, shut the chain, boy, I've been a dog. Best believe I run the game, you know I'm in control of y'all. It's like magic, believe I want that static. Yeah, it's like magic, believe I want that static. Yeah, it's like magic, believe I want that static. Beat them up, knock them out, they really don't want no static.
College Baseball Now, Prospects Live's home for you coverage of college baseball, its players, its stories, its games. You're here, and we're here, and we're glad because we're talking about weekend 2 of the 2026 season. And with you, of course, your friends, your hosts, your boys, starting with me, Drew Wheeler, Director of Amateur Scouting at Prospects Live. Joining me today are my friends and yours, starting with the gentleman who is to my right on the screen. It's going to be Mr. JB Sebastiano. JB, how you doing?
Doing good. How about you, Drew?
I'm good, man. JB, I'm curious. Let's say that all of the fast food chains in the world were to vanish other than one. Which would you save and why?
Well, I guess I'll start a hot take, I guess, here, but being from where I'm from, I think you can guess where I'm going to go with this one, and it is In-N-Out Burger. So, yeah, I haven't had it in a long time. Can't wait to have it soon, though. But, yeah, love In-N-Out Burger.
Let's see. You're looking at a couple weeks, I believe. Is that not right? 3 weeks?
A couple weeks, and I'll be back in the home state for spring break.
Very good.
Yeah, good time.
Well, you'll have to have an In-N-Out Burger for us. That is for sure. Jake Bargery, the coach, he's in the bottom right corner on today's episode. Jake, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great, man.
It's good to see you, pal. You got the matching black and black. You're looking good, slim, trim, ready to get to it. The opposite of slim and trim, myself, otherwise fast food. So which fast food chain would you say, Jake?
I think I would say Chick-fil-A. I feel like that's a lot of people's favorites. It's in my opinion, it's the best chicken sandwich. That's been an argument before, but I'm gonna go Chick-fil-A.
I think that's a solid, safe pick. The Lord's chicken, I can't argue with it. I don't want to argue with God, so there you go. And of course, in the bottom left-hand corner, it is Mr. Josh Catlett. Josh, you're looking chipper. How are you, sir?
I'm great. We got some colder weather again here for a few days before it gets hot again. I'm trying to embrace it a little bit. I like the colder weather better. I'm trying to embrace it before it goes away for like 7 months.
Facts. Yes, I'm with you there. I prefer colder weather. As I've always said, Josh, it's socially acceptable for me to put more clothes on. Socially unacceptable for me to take clothes off.
Exactly. See, We're on the same wavelength. That's what I tell everybody, but no one wants to hear me out. I just don't want to be sweating everywhere I go. It's that simple.
No, me too. I get it. So get us sweating with your opinions on fast food. Which is the one you would save?
See, in my mind, if I could only have one fast food chain ever, I would want some diversity. I was between Culver's and Whataburger in my head, but because JB said In-N-Out, I'll say Whataburger because they're the polar opposites of each other, and you always hear that debate. So I'll take the other side of it. I thought In-N-Out was like all right when I went to California, but it's just Whataburger. There's something different about it. I don't know.
Of course, Josh, you're gonna take the opposite of me. Already starting it. I mean, it's only right.
Let me just we'll get one word responses because I could talk about food all day long, but I won't. Just one word response from you guys. Shake Shack. Thoughts, JB?
Solid.
Jake?
Solid.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
Josh?
I like it. Not as much as Culver's. It's a very similar burger to Culver's, but like it's good.
Okay, cool. I like Shake Shack. I think I've had it like 3 times, which there's none in Tennessee, so it's always been in my travels that I've had it. But I've always enjoyed it.
I only have it in like airports, so I guess it's the same kind of concept.
Yeah. Twice in Texas, once in Atlanta, but always good. Can't complain. Always good. Either way. Off of fast food towards college baseball, from one thing that fills our appetite to another. Guys, there was a lot of stuff going on this weekend. Several things that we have got to talk about. We've kind of broken it up. Josh, you did a great job with the formatting again this week because we have got several stories to talk about, and we're going to take our time with 4 of them and kind of go from there, chatting about what's happened around the game this weekend. Let's start at the top, or as it is for us with our number 2 team, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right, Josh? Number 2 is UCLA, and they tangled this weekend in Los Angeles with TCU. Guys, that's a battle of 2 of our top 10 teams. UCLA came out on top. I'd say handily. That sounds like probably the nicest way I could say it, handily. JB, we'll start with you, obviously. It's a California team. We'll let you get the California love going before the rest of us jump on board with you. UCLA, everything that we thought they'd be, what is the main driving force behind them establishing themselves on the national showcase this weekend?
Yeah, I think, well, the pitching took a bit of a step forward this week, which obviously is a plus for them. It's kind of something that we alluded to last week being a question, but the biggest thing was just Roch Show and Will Gasparino going nuclear. I mean, each of them having 3 homers on the weekend, pretty much almost driving the offense by themselves. And without the help, I mean, Lavu and Roman Martin had their moments this weekend, but they didn't really do anything insane to be a driving factor. So Gasparino and Trelowski, honestly, just they drove the ship for UCLA. It was kind of the 2-man show. So I think it was really star power, honestly, for UCLA this weekend. They kind of showed out over TCU, who's kind of down a few men.
Yeah. We, over the course of this year, and I feel like I always have to say this, barring some sort of unforeseen tragedy or, turn of events that we're not expecting, we're going to talk about Roch Chalowski all year, essentially, leading it from here to the season to our draft coverage. We're going to talk about it a ton. Gasparino, JB, since you brought him up, that's a kid who I watched play last year as a freshman with Texas and instantly enamored with. He has got such very loud tools, but there was just something missing with him. And thus far in the season, it looks like he's really turned it on, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think he's really kind of refined his approach to be a lot better at the chase rates and, the contact rates everybody's kind of concerned with, which they're not great necessarily yet, but, it's been refined enough to make him look a lot better, especially being in, I feel like, a better position in the UCLA lineup than where he was with Texas. I feel like there's a lot less pressure on him. And I think it's just been a very favorable start for him.
I think so too. Jake, we're going to go to you, man. I want you to get your opportunities to talk about UCLA. If you want to touch on Roch, by all means, please do. But the question I had for you, man, is the question I had for you, Jake, is what does this do in your mind to TCU? How badly is their stock damaged from losing the series, again, as convincingly as they lost, but to a quality opponent? What does that do to you, their stock, in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I think to a point, you have to take into account that they didn't have Tommy Laporte. I mean, I'm not going to say that he would have just won that first game for him by himself, but I mean, I think that is something that you have to consider. Losing your ace and having to kind of reshuffle everything on the pitching staff, kind of on the fly, is something to consider. And like you said, going into UCLA, who we obviously think very highly of, like pretty much everyone else does. That's a tough question on how to think about how it affects their stock. I mean, we're dropping them in our rankings, as I'm sure everyone's going to, but I mean, I don't think this is like the end of TCU. I think they're still gonna be a good team. I think they're still gonna win a lot of games this year, but it is concerning the fact that they were kind of dominated this weekend in all 3 games.
I didn't want to use the D word, but I'm glad somebody used that word. So, Jake, do you have anybody from UCLA that you want to touch on? Anybody that's really shone bright to you?
Yeah, I mean, JB talked about Roch and Gasparino. I think Dean West, Roman Martin both had pretty solid weekends at the plate this weekend. I'll also talk about the pitchers a little bit. Logan Redeman had a really nice start in game 1, 5 innings, 10 strikeouts, 1 run. Game 2, Barnett also made a pretty good start, but the story in that one was Wylan Moss out of the bullpen, 4 innings, 10 strikeouts, no runs. I mean, the pitching really stepped up for him against an obviously super solid TCU offense.
Definitely. Early in the season, but Jake, we've been podcasting together for going on 6 months now, you and I, and the rest of us guys, we have been. But if I was to make a Jake guys team, 2 of the pitchers would be Redeman and Michael Barnett. And so I was throwing the softball up to you, just ready for you to crank it. And sure enough, you did. I appreciate you touching on those guys for sure. Josh, we're going to come to you now, man. The other 2 guys have left him sitting pretty on a platter for you. So I'm going to pitch this question to you first, sir. Roch Show. I believe, Josh, that he's ascended past insane to a level that I'll call super insanity. Thoughts on that?
I don't think that's crazy. I think, honestly, there's people, like if I get on Twitter, there are people that aren't even college baseball people, just like MLB people, White Sox fans in particular. There's a reason for that. They'll hop on Twitter, and one of the first things they say, like I'll see them quote tweeting and commenting, like every time I get on this app, this dude is doing something else. Like he's going yard again. Like it's gotten to the point where it's so out of hand, but we expect this. It's not even like he's doing it against some bad non-conference competition. This is a really, really good pitching staff and a top 10 team in the country before this week or before next week, I guess. So, I mean, like, I don't know. It's out of hand. Super insane is a great way of putting it. We're going to be talking about him for it at least the next 5 months on here, and then beyond that for years.
Without a doubt. It's curious, that you referenced TCU, their stock last week. They were a top 10 team in our eyes. And as Jake alluded to, without Lepore, that's a blow. And they were beaten very handily. I mean, Jake said it, so now I guess I'm free to say it. They were dominated. I mean, that's not being rude. It's being truthful. And I hate it. I mean, as you know, I took TCU in our pick'em. I thought that they had a chance here. And I guess the question I'm getting at, Josh, is kind of similar to the one I asked Jake. In your rankings specifically, what was kind of the thought between where do I put TCU and how did that work out for you?
So I think I have them higher than the rest of y'all, honestly. I dropped them from 6 to 11 in my personal ones because I might switch that up actually before I make it public. I might go lower because, I mean, it's a tough spot to be in because you're going on the road to who I now have as the number 1 team in the country because I know we have them as number 2, but after this weekend, I think it's hard to deny what UCLA has done. That they are clearly the best team in the country as of now, I think. It's really hard for a team to go out there and, like take the series. But I mean, like, not only did TCU not even take one game, like they got pretty much dominated most every game. So you got to dock them a little bit for that. But at a certain point, you got to realize what they're going up against. I think the writing was on the wall, in my opinion, when Logan Redeman outpitched Mason Brassfield the way he did on Friday, because, like, in my opinion, going into that matchup, I think Brassfield has a slight edge on Redeman, and then Redeman just wiped the floor from that performance in that particular day. So, I mean, it's just kind of how the trajectory of the whole series went. You got to feel for Yuli Fernsler because, I mean, I don't know how you get signed up for your first ever college outing is on the road against the number 1 team in the country. Like, you just got to – like, it didn't go great for him. You just got to feel for the guy. I don't know. It sums up the weekend pretty well for them.
Definitely, man. I'm with you there. One other thing, guys, while we're on the topic of UCLA, I've been kicking this around, so I want you guys in the comments, you listeners in the comments below, to tell me what you think about this. Because his name is Roch, and there was, you guys may not know this, there was a famous professional wrestler. He's now an actor, Dwayne Johnson. He was called The Rock. I think The Rock, because he had many good nicknames, we should attribute some of those to Roch Show. So obviously you had the Great One, the Brahma Bull, the People's Champion. I think there's several good ones there, so I'm going to brainstorm that. You guys be on that. Maybe by the midweek episode, we'll have a new nickname for Roch Show, at least for us, that might spread around. Comment down below if there's any that sound good to you. Josh, we are going to stick with you, though, in moving along because on the format here, it says Josh needs to apologize to his university. So I'm just going to let you have the floor here, sir.
Yeah, so as weird as it sounds, I've been the one that's been the most anti-Auburn the entire offseason in terms of going into the year how I thought they would perform. I am here to make a formal official apology because boy was I wrong apparently. And even last week it didn't look great. In the midweek it didn't look great. But this weekend impressed me. I was harping on about how the pitching staff concerned me all season, and I think they might have things figured out a little bit. Jackson Sanders got lit up yesterday against Florida State early on, but beyond that, the rest of the bullpen was fine. Today was fine. They've really got things figured out on Friday with the way that they got that piggyback. Drew Whalen coming in after Jake Marciano. Marciano looked great again. He went 6 innings, no runs allowed, 8 strikeouts. Whalen came in for 2 innings. Then Garrett Brewer, who's the closer, if Hetzler's not the closer, came in for an inning and shut the door. That's a solidified Friday thing it seems like they have going on and they're going to do for the near future. Yeah, I don't know. The offense has put the pieces together too, and it's great to see it because it's not even just like the guys at the top like Bub Terrell, Chase Fralick, Eric Guevara. They've looked really good too, but it's like the unsung heroes this weekend. Like Brandon McCrane, the guy who's stepping in for Chris Rimbert while he's gone at second base, went 7 for 12 this weekend with a double and a triple. Ethan Bingaman, freshman, he played some first base. He's played like DH. He's moved around a little bit. He went 5 for 8 this weekend with 2 home runs today against Louisville. Got walked a couple times. It's guys like that need to continue to step up. And that was the big issue last week when the big names at the top of the Auburn lineup were performing a little bit, but no one else could step in. This weekend, people stepped in, and now you see the potential this offense has against a couple ranked teams they beat. And what happened against Kansas State. Kansas State's been such a proven offense and shut them down, only allowed 1 run. So this is my apology. If they lose a series at home to Nebraska next week, then I can run it right back and be on the other side of this again. But, I don't think that'll happen. I don't know if anyone else does. So I might just – I got them in my top 10 again finally, which is where most people already had them. But here we are. I came around eventually.
Josh, I'm curious. Let's say hypothetically disaster strikes and things go bad with Nebraska coming in. Is that going to be an unapology followed the next week by a re-apology? So is this going to have to become a recurring segment is what I'm getting at.
See, it's weird because I'm rooting for them, and so I don't want to have to come on here and if Auburn were to in some world lose to Nebraska next week in the series, I could be like, ooh, I might have been right all along, but I'm not happy about this. So I got myself in a really weird spot. I'm not used to this.
Okay. Well, that's fair. I know you love being correct, but I know that you're a very truthful person at your heart. So I respect what you're doing.
I think those are both very accurate statements, yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I've gotten to know you a little bit, Kemosabe. I'd say so. Jake, not an Auburn fan historically. I'm curious, what was your take on Auburn this weekend? Because to kind of put my stamp next to what Josh said, markedly improved. Almost looked like a totally different team.
Yeah, I mean, they just finally looked like just a complete team this weekend, I think is just a good way to put it. We apologized to the Michigans last weekend, and, Auburn definitely deserves an apology from us this weekend. But, Josh hit all the high points on the weekend. Like, Marciano was really good in game 1. Sanders battled a little bit in his start, but against a really good Florida State team. But the bullpen backed him up good there. Another good start from Alex Petrovich in game 3. But they hit nearly 300 as a team against 3 really strong pitching staffs. Josh talked about all the big hitters in the lineup. This is just by far the best Auburn's looked, and they've more than earned an apology from us.
I think so. I appreciate that. I'm sure Auburn fans do as well. Well, we can ask an Auburn fan. Josh, do you appreciate it?
Do I appreciate myself? I guess.
Do you appreciate us as a – never mind, Josh. Jake, I'm going to go back to you here and ask, with Auburn, in putting your ranks together, seeing that they kind of were a little slummy, and then also this weekend, very impressive. I mean, what does that do for you when you're considering how to rank them?
When I'm considering how to rank them, I also have them in my personal top 10 with Josh. But I think not overreacting to super early season stuff is important. Yeah. It's easy the way we've talked about Auburn and all the question marks going into the season, and they kind of showed early on in the year, so that more than that kind of swayed us to drop them a little bit last week. But I mean, I think just seeing this weekend and the potential kind of fulfilling itself this weekend and seeing what kind of team they are when they're at their best is more than enough reason to bring them back up to where they were.
I think so. Well said, buddy. JB, if Jake, not historically an Auburn fan, you, not historically a Josh Catlett fan. So I would lead into asking, in your opinion, JB, this Auburn team, who I think at the onset of the year, all of us would have agreed Rembert is going to be the key that ignites this whole deal for them offensively. They're without him, and yet now the offense has kind of turned on the engine without him. What does that mean for his return, whenever that could be, JB?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think that it's honestly just like a blessing to have him back at that point. It's an added piece to this, offense that really struggled, and now you get a big production piece back, and also you have more guys that you now know that you can plug in, as Josh alluded to. His fill-in's gone 7 for 12, so I mean, you can't really complain about that. The two things that I guess I'd point out about this team, I guess I am highest out of all of us. I had him at 7 in my personal when we were going through. I was really impressed with the pitching, which I know has been a really big point for us. But the thing I'll hit on is the pitching that they faced and did really well against. Bryson Moore of Florida State, he looked really good previously. They got to him, and Wyatt Danilowicz really looked good for Louisville. In the first weekend, we talked about how we thought he was possibly somebody who could get moved up in the rotation, and now got absolutely hammered by Auburn today. So that's something that I guess, they deserve kudos on. And not to get off the topic, I guess, too, but the thing that really, I guess, disappointed me from the weekend, I guess talking about the event as a whole, was Louisville, for me, taking them and knowing I was wrong. We talked about the pitching staff needing to get tested, and this game especially was pointed out to us as, hey, Danilowicz against an Auburn team, he looked really good. It's a good test, good follow-up for him, and he really underperformed. So I think that's kind of the thing this weekend also from this event, was Louisville pitching really showing how poor that they were again.
Well said, buddy. I think it's that certainly is, I think as well, it's as worth mentioning as the Auburn acceleration is that Louisville, I think pitching kind of crapped the bed again. That's a good way to look at it, dude, for sure. Either way, that's maybe as good of a transition as we can get, crap the bed, to talk about Tennessee. All right. Well, Jake, we'll start with you. Tennessee, 2 days in a row, the offense looked maybe like they were blindfolded at the plate. Maybe we're just training with our eyes closed so that we can just hit by here, hit with ear, and smell the vibes. That's what I'm telling myself. What are you telling yourself?
Yeah, I think you're saying it right, Drew. I mean, it was just a hard watch for Tennessee fans this weekend, man. We're just begging for offense, and it just never showed up. They got good starts from Tegan Coons and Lyndon Mack again. Coons 5 innings, 4 Ks, 3 walks, 1 run. Mack more of the same. Mack went 6 2/3 with 11 strikeouts, only 2 runs allowed, and they only scored 5 runs combined to back them up. Brandon Arvidsson came in game 2, finished the game with a couple scoreless innings, and the only offense in game 2 was a Henry Ford solo homer in the first inning. They only had 4 players get multiple hits in any single game this weekend. Kent State deserves all the love and recognition, but the offensive inconsistencies are pretty worrisome for the Vols, I would say.
Absolutely. A couple things I'll point out to that note specifically is Evan Blanco today did not do bad. It's just, he kind of got touched up on, but his periods of pitching he pitched very well. The second thing, yes, I know we led this off with Tennessee's offense looked like trash, and they did. But like you said, Jake, we can't take anything away from Kent State. If I left this weekend feeling anything, it's that is a complete baseball team. I know I love the word you used a minute ago to describe Auburn, but I think that it's applicable on a different scale for Kent State without a doubt. This is a team who looked incredibly comfortable in a raucous environment. This is a team who played defense with the best of them, looked totally in control of themselves and in the situation, made it happen when they needed to make it happen. With the exception of Friday night, I mean, and guys, we all were talking about it in the group chat as it was happening. I mean, with the exception of the Tyler Myatt pinch hit home run in the bottom of the ninth, Kent State looked like they had their, hand on the wheel at all times. It was never really out of reach for them at any point to me, it felt like. Josh, we'll go to you here. With Tennessee, we've obviously talked about the offense. What do you think was the biggest concern therein? Because obviously Jake said it. Henry Ford looks like he is credible, steady, has answered at least some of my questions that I had for him in the offseason. But what do you think was the biggest, that needs to improve?
Well, I think the stat that Jake said is really glaring, that only 4 times did someone have multiple hits in a game over the whole weekend. That's egregious, to say the least. I think Henry Ford was kind of like a silver lining, like a shot, like a bright light. What am I trying to say? A really high point in the lineup this entire weekend, but that's it. Like, the consistent guys that are typically like the producers for them didn't put out at all this weekend. Blaine Brown, who had a really good weekend last weekend, he went 0 for 10 this weekend. He reached base once. That's it. Like, guy who's been around Manny Marin, he went 1 for 11 this weekend, 5 strikeouts. It's just performances like that stack on top of each other, and it really just leads to, as we saw, just an overall egregious offensive performance. It's just like something you're not used to seeing. Like, even before today, they put up 5 runs, most of them coming in 1 run because, Kent State had that, like, throwing error, whatever that was, where they were where he's like, just a mental error that allowed 2 more runs to come across. So it made today look not as bad as it even was, to be honest. I don't know. I don't really want to have these big, like, overarching, hyperbolic takes after the second week because, like, upsets happen, weird series happen, but, like, it was so consistently rough this weekend. And there is such turnover that's happened there, and there's been so many question marks around that program this whole offseason that it's kind of hard not to overreact, I guess. I don't know about y'all, but like me, it's hard not to feel that way, at least immediately.
I could never bash you or even discredit that opinion because I get it. It's a natural thing to say. That's a lot of flipping and turning and adjusting, and now we're seeing kind of the wheels fall off early in a sense. I get where you would say that, and I don't think that that's incorrect. Jake, I'll pitch to you real quick, and JB, I swear I'm going to talk to you in a minute. Jake, one guy I was really pleased with, again, considering the bad weekend, Jay Abernathy. I thought defensively looked very solid in center field. He today had 2 hits, if I'm not mistaken, and at some point, I think he looked incredibly comfortable. Did kind of have a little bit of a, he wasn't perfect, but there's positives there. Maybe, again, I'm just scraping the bottom of the barrel for positives, Jake. What do you think?
I wouldn't say you're scraping at the bottom of the barrel, but I mean, I think like he's gonna be in the lineup. It's gonna be nice to see him hit. But I think, like Josh mentioned, it's just the stars. The stars didn't perform for Tennessee. I think that's just kind of what it comes down to. Outside of like we talked about, outside of Henry Ford, like no one really hit, and like this is a team that's gonna need to hit, especially if you get good starting pitching like they've been getting.
Without a doubt. And that's a perfect transition for what I was wanting to talk to you about, JB, is that Tennessee's bullpen. We've talked about the hitting not showing up, but the bullpen has been spotty, might be the kindest way I could describe it. Bad, another one that comes to mind. And this is not anything new. The Tennessee bullpen has been shaky for us, for years. And JB, I guess my question to you is, with regards to Kent State, are they real or are they just MAC real? What, I guess, if you had to elaborate on 100 percentile, 100%, what percent of it is Tennessee played like trash and what percent of it is Kent State's pretty good?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the one point I was going to make that I'll hit on, which leads into this, is that Tennessee only had 6 extra base hits from a team that we thought would have a lot of extra base hits on the season from a whole weekend, 6 extra base hits. I think that's something that we really didn't expect. So I think I'd probably go 80% of it is Tennessee really underperforming what they are, and 20% is how good Kent State is. And that's not a knock at them. I think Kent State's a good program, and they take advantage of mistakes, which is what good teams do. If you make mistakes, you don't play well, good teams take advantage. And they did. So they deserve the credit for that. But I don't think it's them beating the best version of a Tennessee team necessarily. So that's my take on it. Like, if this game happened in a regional, I assume it'd be a lot different when we're in, May, June, playing a game. But right now, I think, Tennessee's kind of just, it's the early season woes, and you flip over to a new coach and all that stuff going on too. I think it's just a lot different. So I think it's kind of them needing to figure out where they are as a team and get the extra base hits in there.
For what it's worth, 80-20 is the exact percentage I had in my head when Drew asked that question. So wow. I think it checks out.
Wow. All
Me
right,
and Josh
Jake,
agreeing. Rare.
That's
Don't get used to
That's
it.
huge.
Don't get used to it.
and of course, what you're agreeing on is Tennessee's downfall. Jake, we have to fight back against this tyranny. Jake, I do have one more question for you before we wrap up the bow on Tennessee here. Let's go to the confidence-o-meter. Jake, we just lost a weekend series to Kent State. If 10 is I have utmost confidence and 0 is I have no confidence, where are you right now with Tennessee?
I'm still confident in Tennessee. I mean, they have the players. I mean, I guess if I had to put a number on it, I'm probably still at like an 8 or a 9 confidence. I mean, it was a bad weekend. We're going to learn a lot next weekend. They go to the Globe Life Series next weekend with a lot of great teams that we're going to talk about quite a bit. But I mean, I'm not losing any confidence on a bad weekend like you guys talked about. New coach, you know, it happens, I guess. But I still believe in Tennessee.
I'm with you, pal. I had the number in my head at 8.5, and so for you to say 8 or 9, I'm glad we're on the same page. If JB and Josh are going to be, then hell, we might as well be as well. All right, final of our biggest storylines of the week. We just talked about it, Jake. Good segue there because we talked about an event for next weekend and an event this weekend. A lot of teams gathered up, and one of them stood at the top of the heap. Oregon State sit down, not you. It is Southern Miss, and that is perfect for us because we have really plugged the Golden Eagles a lot. And, of course, driving that train has been you, Mr. Catlett. Your favorite team in the country, Southern Miss. I'm curious if you want to lead the discussion on what it was from them that really made this weekend such a rousing success.
See, this weekend made me even more confident in them than I already was, not just because of the results, but because going into this, it was the offense that was really the driving force behind that team. But the pitching looked really good this weekend too. Today in particular, it was they tried the why am I blanking? English. Sorry, they tried him out there as a starter again, and it didn't work out very well for the second week in a row. Thomas Crabtree performed better than better than he did last week, the way I thought he would coming into the season. He went 2 innings, no runs allowed, 5 strikeouts. Cross Sibley, a guy who was around last year, came in 3 innings, 3 strikeouts, no runs. It was a really good bullpen performance, a really good piggyback performance off of that. And it just kind of exemplifies what this bullpen can be when you put your best guys out there in the right spots and they do what they can do. The offense, there's no questions. I don't think. At least long term, there's no big questions. Like guys like Joey Urban, Davis Gillespie, Kyle Morrison, they all had good weekends. They're all going to produce. You just know it. Dre Barrett just has a ridiculous clutch gene at this point, it seems. So I'm not really worried. I didn't even mention Matthew Russo, or Tucker Stockman. There's guys that are going to be there in that offense, and they've shown it against really good teams really early. Oregon State, we can have questions about. We can have that conversation, but I think Southern Miss, not just saying this because I've been high on them forever, I think they are clearly the story. I expect to see a jump in a lot of people's rankings from them this week because I'm not going to spoil anything y'all might want to talk about, but they could be premier mid-major team this year. Could be along those lines. I don't know.
JB, I have 2 questions for you on that same point, talking about this event with Southern Miss. My first question to you is, JB, what's the timeline on Southern Miss surpassing UNC on Josh's favorite teams list?
I think it's already happened, honestly. I mean, I think the boat has already left the station, or the train's left the station. I mean, it's over. Southern Miss is up there. He's probably got a full gear, set
he's got a Colby Allen jersey. He's got the jersey,
the hat, the sweatshirts.
Mask, yeah.
I mean, he probably got it all asked for Christmas this year. I mean, he's ready to go. He turned the UNC family.
My family watches this. We can't be saying this, or else I'm gonna get disowned. I'm just saying. We can't go that far.
All right, JB. Serious question for you now. We alluded to it a minute ago, though, but Oregon State, that offense is something. You can have an excellent pitching staff, and I don't think any of us would disagree with that adjective with that group of players. Excellent pitching staff. But, man, what's going on? What's going on at Corvallis? What's the deal here?
Yeah, I'll start with this fun fact for you guys. Oregon State had 3 extra base hits the entire weekend as we slammed Tennessee for only having 6. 3. Now, Southern Miss matched that in their one game against Oregon State. They had 3 by themselves and won the game against them. So the offenses looked awful. I mean, Dax Whitney, who we will talk about later on, had the game of his life, and this team was struggling to scrape together a run or two to win him the game. I mean, it looked pathetic, honestly, is the best way to put it. It might be too harsh and blunt, but they look pathetic at the plate. And Oregon State, the offense looked like a glorified, very, very mid-major program. Like, it looked like a very, very glorified mid-major offense, and it was very concerning. I think, Kleinschmidt, he didn't have his best stuff, but he still put up 10 strikeouts over 5 1/3 when he went against Southern Miss, giving up 4, and that offense couldn't do anything to help him out at all. I think it's really concerning seeing how bad the offense is, and it's something that you need to keep an eye on, I guess, because Oregon State hasn't traditionally been necessarily an offensive powerhouse all the time. Recently they had some good offensive pieces a year ago, but this is a really, really concerning offensive team this year, I'd say.
Historically speaking, Oregon State's produced, major leaguers within the last 10 years. We could name, 10 of them at least, in that range. Either way, you're right. This is just concerning. And again, it's an early season, but it is what it is. Jake, I need you to pull up your mid-major rankings, your most recent edition of that, because I have a question for you pertaining to that. But as you're doing that, my question is, these two jabronis, Catlett and Sebastiano, just bashed Tennessee for having 6 extra base hits in a weekend. This Oregon State team had 3. Jake, am I right at feeling a little miffed here? Because we have not talked about this Oregon State offense. I need at least another 30 minutes of discussion. Jake, am I justified in this, Jake?
I guess so. I can talk about it a little bit more if you want to.
I thought so. I thought so. No, my question for you, Jake, is we're going to just pitch this to the other guys because I know you have a regularly updated mid-majors list. And JB just said something that really sparked something in my brain. He said, this offense looks like a glorified mid-major offense. So we're going to go to game time really quickly for the 3 of you. Jake, give me your number 8 mid-major team as of right now.
Okay, as of right now, I haven't updated it from the weekend yet, but last weekend it was Creighton was my number 8 team.
JB, would you rather have Oregon State's offense or Creighton's offense?
Creighton, right? Probably.
All right.
Probably Creighton, honestly. I haven't even looked at their stuff, and I'd feel confident knowing the Oregon State stat line that I'd choose Creighton right now to put them in the box.
Let's test a little further. Jake, give me your number 15.
15 is FAU.
Oh, that's easy. Jake, I was going to give you that one. Would you rather have FAU or Oregon State's offense? I already know the answer.
FAU's offense right now, yeah.
We're Owl boys in here. I already knew it. All right, let's test this, Jake. Your number. All right. Looking at your 1 through 5, whichever offense you think is the worst, Jake, what team is that? Of your 1 through 5.
1 through 5. Let's see.
Give us the worst out of the 30, honestly. We can still play.
I don't know. 1 through 5, I have I guess you can pick Irvine or Dallas Baptist as.
Perfect. Let's do DBU, Josh. DBU offense or Oregon State?
This is the biggest setup question of all time. DBU might have gotten swept this weekend, but their offense wasn't the issue. So give me that offense easily.
The point that I'm making here, guys. Jake, just for argument's sake, what's the number 30 mid-major team?
My number 30 last week was Charlotte.
All right. Well.
Okay, I'm not as familiar with Charlotte, but all I'm going to say
put up some numbers. I'll be honest. I saw Oregon State. They put up some runs. So
I would take Oregon State's offense over Irvine if we're going to do that. That's where I'll draw that line.
Okay.
I would take them over Irvine.
It's close though. That's a bad thing too. And they lost to Cal 4-2 today, and it's still in my mind scratching. There's a debate, but I'll take Oregon State.
They lost to 11-2 yesterday. Same thing.
I think that right there is the point I'm trying to make here, guys. Is Oregon State, and I don't mean to spoil the rankings before we release them, but Oregon State's number 24, 25, 24. I was about to say, I know 3 of us had them at 24 on the nose, which was bizarre.
Yeah.
They're number 24. How good is that pitching staff to elevate them, including this just dead cat dragging behind them offense? It's stellar that you guys all took, like you said, JB, that just sparked an idea in my head, a random mid-major. That's crazy. Crazy stuff. Josh, we're going to stick with you and stick with this series actually as well. Dax Whitney, maybe you wrote maybe the performance of the year, and checking my calendar, it's February 22. So let's hear about what Dax Whitney did. Tell us all about it. If someone happened to have just emerged from under a Chalowski this weekend.
That was a flawless transition because if you didn't say it, I was going to step in and be like, well, how good is this pitching staff? I know a certain guy that really showed up this weekend. Dax Whitney, stat line, I need you to really, really take this in when I say a certain number on this list.
All right, here we go.
7 innings, no runs allowed, 2 hits allowed, only 1 walk allowed, 17 strikeouts. That's so nuts. It pops off the box score and you have to refresh your page saying like, oh my Lord, does that say 1-7 right there? And the stuff was so good too. Like he's going to be such a highly touted prospect next year. He was as a freshman coming into college. His fastball sat 97, 99 the whole game. He touched 100. He used his fastball 65% of the time and got 79% whiff on it. 79. I can't put into words how nuts that is. I mean, the pitch shapes are just stupid. Like he had a 10-mile-an-hour drop off on his changeup with a 16-inch IVB difference between that and the fastball. Like he threw 69% strikes overall. I can go on. It was a ridiculous performance. I don't care who it's against. That's not. You don't see those kind of performances against low major, mid major teams from high major programs. Like it's so ridiculous. He was a first team All-American at most places, deservedly so if he's going to do that pretty often.
Interesting thing you just said there, Josh. Jake, I'll go to you. Josh, that's interesting. If he does that very often, Jake, my question for you, let's just extrapolate 80% of that start. So let's say Dax goes 5 2/3 or 6 innings and strikes out 13 guys. Let's just say 6 innings, 13 strikeouts. Jake, what are the odds that we see another 6? Okay, better question. 6.5 is the number I'm going to set the bar at. Over or under 6 innings, 13 strikeouts for Dax. Games, starts the rest of the season. Bars at 6.5. What do you think?
Bars at 6.5. I mean, 6.5 does. I mean, it feels a little high, but I mean, like he just did it. Like I don't know how we can say that he's not going to do it. Like I haven't looked at their entire schedule. I don't know it off the top of my head, but like
yeah,
I don't know. I think he could do it. I mean, that feels a little high, but I mean, I think he could do it.
And admittedly, I'm certainly not Vegas. I'm not the guys at Handshake Bets. I can't just come up with these lines off the top of my head, but the guy is an absolute freak show. And I think, Jake, that's the point that I'm getting at here is that, again, we talked about how Oregon State remained in our rankings after, again, I love that descriptive language I used, a dead cat dragging behind them. But, I mean, how good is Dax Whitney, pal?
Yeah, I mean, Josh had all the high points. I don't have too much to add on it, but other than just like he put those numbers up in under 100 pitches is something that is impressive. And he also, like from the final 2 outs in the 4th until the first out in the 7th, he struck out every single batter that came to the plate. He struck out 9 guys in a row. Like he's just a special talent. There's no question why he's being talked about as maybe even the best player in next year's class.
I think so. JB, before we came on the air to record, you and I were leading the propaganda train on Jackson Flora. And I believe the kind of recurring theme that you and I kept saying is he's just different. He's just an elite player. Let's keep that kind of benchmark in mind, Jackson Flora. What's the comparison between Whitney and Flora in your mind, JB?
I think it's a lot different, and I think there's a lot of stuff there with they move a lot differently. I mean, kind of the differences that you see there. Whitney's really a very short, compact arm motion. He's very athletic. Flora's more the extension type of guy. But I think Dax Whitney right now would be a better prospect. If you put them in the same class and they're there, I think Dax Whitney would be the better prospect. No question in my mind right now. Just because of the dominance that you see. I mean, there's nothing like that. Flora's done great as well. Not to knock anything off him. He's a great prospect. But even if you take Dax Whitney, Fluky, and Flora, and you throw Liam Peterson there, whoever we want to throw in, Dax Whitney would probably be the first one off the board out of all of them. He'd probably be the first pitcher taken this year if they had the chance. So that's just my opinion.
I think I would agree with your opinion on that one, buddy, for sure. Let's move on, JB, to you on this one. Interesting stuff happening in North Carolina. There's an odd thing on some records here. I'm seeing a number, and then there's a 1. Explain what happened here.
Yeah, so a very interesting weekend for the Tar Heels. Go to Greenville, which a lot of us expected would be a tough game for them on the road in the jungle, everything going on, Norby going. And it started off very hyped up and looked like a great game and quickly got out of hand as it was a run rule for North Carolina. A great performance by Jason DeCaro. Norby kind of got knocked around and then move into the next day at Durham Bulls Athletic Park. And Van Kempen honestly just kind of dominated the game. Besides one mistake to Gavin Gallagher, it was really a dominant performance from him. And then Sean Jenkins comes in and closed it out. He was lights out for them, a very electric arm. So kind of moved into a deciding rubber match today. And obviously Mother Nature decided to have its fun with our game that we had today. And, Colby Weber deserves his credit as well. He had a very nice performance today for them. Kind of an interesting trend for ECU, I guess, to note. Big on the high release points this year, kind of the Savage effect, I would say. Big on the high release points, heavy splitter, high ride fastball because of their release point type of deal. But it just looked like offensively we didn't have a plan at the plate at times. I'd say over the past 2 days after a run rule on the first day, it just looked like we didn't have necessarily a plan. The release heights, the odd angles looked like they really got to us, I'd say. Just not necessarily, they didn't look prepared to deal with what came at them, I guess, from this ECU team for UNC. So I think it'll be kind of just having to get back on track, and the pitching as well. We saw him be so dominant in the first weekend against Indiana. Jason followed that up. But outside of that, Folger, Boaz, and Lynch both had their moments. They looked good. They looked okay. They weren't bad starts. They just weren't as dominant as they were the first weekend. So I think it's kind of something to knock them back. And then obviously you move into a series against Lemoyne that's kind of more of a pushover almost, I want to say. I mean, it's not to be that way against them, but when you look at it on the board, that's how it's going to be. So yeah, I think it's just a very head-scratching series from UNC, but kind of like how we talked about Tennessee and a lot of other teams. A lot of teams played down this weekend. So, it's kind of interesting to see how they come back.
JB, you had a lot of concerns that you pointed out there, justifiably so. Obviously, we know that you get a great look at UNC every weekend, so you're getting kind of firsthand information for us here and for everybody listening. Of all the concerns that you pointed out, which is the one that is the most pertinent that they've got to address before any series, Lemoyne or not?
I guess there's kind of two for me that I think are like the two main things. The offense, you just want to see it jump back quickly. You don't want to see them sputter out of control, I guess would be my first take. If it kind of sputters out of control, and especially the back half of the offense. The back half of the lineup is really what has struggled, and Owen Hull was hitting in the 3-hole and got dropped back to the 6-hole today. He's really, really struggled to start the season. So seeing him turn around and kind of the rest of that bottom part of the order would really help this offense. And then the bullpen, I think, is the other thing. We talked about how you have some pieces coming back, but kind of some inconsistency. McDuffie got touched up for the first time this year, and then Matthias had his own struggles recently when we've seen him come into games. So I think those two are going to be the key. The rest of the pieces that are kind of to fill the gap did not perform either on Saturday. So I think it's honestly just getting the bullpen back in shape, and kind of the offense just to quickly turn the page and get back on track this week.
Understood. Josh, UNC, famously your number 3 favorite team. When you look at this, series kind of as a whole with the tie today, an odd outcome. What do you make as a UNC fan looking at this? And it's kind of the same question. What would you like to see that team address going into this weekend and beyond?
I think JB said it best. I think the bottom of that lineup is the real issue. I think there's guys like Schaffner, Gallagher. They're performing at a consistent level at the top, but I think it's at the bottom of the lineup. You don't feel comfortable at all really going into it right now if it gets to that point in the lineup in a really tough spot. I think there's guys interchanging in and out. You're trying to figure out your established 9 if there is anything like close to it, I guess, or an established 9 or 10 because guys rotate. But I think that's the biggest question because long term, I don't really have many concerns about the bullpen. I'm really confident in the guys at the top of that bullpen to be able to put those pieces together and get some long outings when necessary down the stretch in May and June or whatever. So right now it's February. It's easy to talk about how you're worried after one of the 2 outings you've seen a certain guy in not go so great. I think down the stretch they're going to figure it out because they have in the past. The offense is where I have real question marks. But I mean, the transfer class they brought in was really good. There's a couple freshmen that are performing pretty well. Will they mesh eventually? I would like to think so. But as it stands right now, I don't think, like I said, Schaffner, Gallagher, even Paulson's look good to me. I don't really have any questions about those. It's the guys that are the newcomers trying to mesh and to see, can we figure this thing out before we get into conference play? And they got a tough one coming up early. Virginia's the first team they play in conference play. You're going to get a test real early to figure out, is this thing going to work out long term? Probably.
I think so. Jake, want to go to you about ECU specifically. What's the outlook for them going forward after, again, an odd weekend that was certainly interrupted by that tie? I think that would have been a really telling thing for this series and for these 2 teams.
Yeah, I think it's more of the same as what we were kind of talking about with North Carolina. Is like, early season, like teams are still figuring everything out, figuring out what kind of you're going to see a lot of different batting orders. You're going to see a lot of different guys coming out of the bullpen. You're going to see guys get starts. I think it's just kind of figuring that out. And they had the tough first weekend against Xavier, and then they didn't really get too much of a chance to figure anything out against an opponent like North Carolina. They just had to stick with what they thought was best. So, I mean, going forward, they got to have, like everybody right now, they got to have guys step up in the lineup, like Braden Burris, Jack Herring, Walker Barron is kind of carrying them right now, but they got to have some other guys step up down the order a little bit. Some guys are going to have to, maybe someone that's not starting right now is going to get a chance and, earn a spot. I don't know. They also have things to figure out like everybody else right now.
Well said. Jake, I'm going to stick with you here for this next topic. Texas A&M. I think, guys, you guys have said it off air, and we've said it even on air. I think we're the highest outlet, to my knowledge, on Texas A&M. However, the offense this weekend, certainly not what we expected. I don't think what anybody would have expected, though, from Texas A&M. Jake, is it a concern? At what point should we be concerned? And also, cheese down.
Yeah, I just felt that right there. The offense was just sound asleep in games 1 and 2 against Penn, right? I mean, I give credit to Penn's arms, Jake Moss, Thomas Shurtleff, Marty Coyne. They all came in and pitching the way that they did in that environment and keeping that offense down. They did a really good job. But for A&M, they got great starting pitching from Shane Sedell and Weston Moss and Aiden Sims. And the bullpen was also lights out. I could name the guys there. But, on the offensive side, Terrence Keel had a pretty solid weekend. Nico Partita had his moments, but the offense was just inconsistent, and I think teams I don't know if this is the case for A&M, but teams get in the mindset of we're going to easily beat this team. They get UPenn coming in and they think they might start looking ahead to the next weekend. And if there's a trap weekend this early on in the season, it kind of felt like one for A&M, just the way they kind of were moving so slow, especially to start. But they travel to Globe Life next weekend to face Virginia Tech, UCLA, and Arizona State, which, again, we're going to talk about that later on, but the path isn't getting much easier for this Aggies offense.
It is not. JB, really quickly to you, Jake, really a great transition there. The path is not getting easier for Texas A&M. JB, an easy question, but one that I think has deeper context to it. How quickly does A&M have to figure this out?
I think before SEC play, honestly, I think is kind of the hard deadline for them. And, the one thing that I guess, you give them saving grace is no Chris Hacopian in the lineup this weekend. So, I mean, that's something that really stings for that offense. But, yeah, I just think it's, them needing to kind of regroup and, I guess just figuring it out after a weekend. And Jake said you got to give credit to the Penn Arms too. They did a really good job this weekend and went out there and competed. And some of those Ivy teams, they throw out some really good arms, as we saw Princeton as well, not to jump the ship, but they shut out NC State on one of our top 25 teams in their second game. So I think it's something that, you got to take that into account, I guess, somewhat, but also realize that you hope that offense performs a little better. So that's what I got on that.
Yes, 2 great points there to lead us into Josh. I will say beforehand, though, one of those points you made is that, we can't discredit Penn's arms. And that's not bullpen, that's UPenn. That's Jake's homies from Pennsylvania. So shout them out. Josh, JB with another, you guys are getting really good at these transitions. Brings us to your gentleman, Mr. Hakopian. Josh, what do you think that he would have meant to this offense that has kind of floundered this weekend?
I mean, it certainly couldn't have hurt. I mean, it's a very similar thing to I'll put it in a different perspective. You can say the same kind of thing about Auburn with Rembert, not to bring it back to that, but
no, you're right.
Auburn was struggling without Rembert early on and then put it together this weekend after a weekend of, having some other guys you have to fill in there to mesh. But I think A&M's offense as a whole has more pieces around what Hakopian usually is than Auburn does. So you would expect them on paper, you would expect them next week to get things to pull things together better than they did this weekend. The issue with that being, who they're playing next weekend. They're in Arlington and they got to face UCLA and they got to face Arizona State. And it's a really tough ramp up of competition from Penn. So, I mean, this past weekend was when you wanted to see it. Sure, they didn't have Hakopian, but the other big guys didn't perform super well either. Like Sorrell, Grahovic didn't have phenomenal weekends. If the guys at the bottom of the lineup aren't going to perform, you need the guys at the top of it too, and they just didn't. So you didn't see it at all. Need things to turn back around, or else they're going to get mollywopped by UCLA and Arizona State. A couple teams we're pretty high on.
What a verb. Love that.
Thank you.
They certainly will be mollywopped. Let's kind of put the accelerator on here, guys. Talk about some more of our quick news highlights, some storylines from the weekend. 2 teams atop our rankings, top 5 teams. LSU, our number 1. Georgia Tech, our number 5. The offenses are really rolling. When I think about offenses that I just like pretty well top to bottom, these are 2 of the ones that jump to mind. Josh, I'm going to give you 1 sentence on these 2 offenses. You can pick one you want to talk about. What is it about them that really just shone this weekend?
1 sentence is rough. The stars for Georgia Tech. Because Burris had a great day today, but all weekend, Von Lackey had a phenomenal weekend. Alex Hernandez, Jared Advicula, those guys are performing at their very peak right now. And sure, they're not playing great competition. As JB says, they're playing the Sisters of the Deaf and the Blind. But, look, averaging 16 runs a game is averaging 16 runs a game, and that is what it is. So take it for what it's worth.
It is what it is, as my dad says. I quote Josh Catlett, quote my dad. JB, you have been an active critic of Georgia Tech's schedule early on. I believe earlier you said that their first test was when they are going to be, and I'm quoting you, forced to play Clemson, or no, Northwest. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
No, it's Clemson.
No, it was Clemson. It was
Clemson. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so
They're
sorry.
forced in ACC play to play Clemson.
Forced into ACC. That's ridiculous. Okay, so JB, I'll let you talk about LSU. Give us a sentence on what worked for LSU this weekend in Jacksonville.
I think it's just the most impressive thing is offense by committee. I think the whole team, honestly, you've seen it throughout the year. The whole team, one guy's picked up where someone else left off. If somebody's off, Jake Brown had a hot start, kind of cooled down this week, and then you see Kate Armbidi and some of the other guys really step up this week. So I think it's just by committee, honestly, is what you talk about with them.
Yeah, well said. Armbidi had a moonshot at one point this weekend. I don't remember what day it was. Jake, we'll go to you. You can choose whether you want to give us a sentence on Georgia Tech or LSU, sir.
Yeah, I think a lot of the same can be said about both. They both scored a ton of runs this weekend. LSU scored 34 on Indiana, Notre Dame, and UCF in 3 games. We named the names that got things going. Curiel Milam kind of got things going a little bit this weekend as well. Pitching backed them up. It was just a really good weekend from LSU.
It was a solid weekend in Jacksonville. Did you guys see the graphic of the sign there at the park that it was like between the teams, we've got all these different things. And so it was like, it's when you do all the work on the group project and everybody's name is on there. It's what that was. Let's look at 2 other guys individually performing at a high level this weekend, certainly at the top of draft rankings. Liam Peterson, Justin LeBron. Who had the more impressive weekend with 5 words? Josh, we'll start with you.
You gotta stop doing this to me.
I'm sorry.
I'll say Liam Peterson.
Okay, you got 5 words. He real good at ball.
I guess. I don't know. 12 strikeouts in 5 innings. Boom. 5
Damn.
words.
Look at
Let's
you.
go.
See, you got it. You got it. Jake, we'll go to you. Who had the more impressive weekend, LeBron or Peterson? And your 5 words to say why.
I mean, I'll take LeBron since he took Liam Peterson.
Right.
5 words. He hits balls really hard.
Perfect. Y'all are good at this game. JB, break the tie. Who was more impressive this weekend, LeBron or Peterson? And you got 5 words to say why.
I'll go Peterson and 5 1/3, 1 hit, 12 Ks.
That's way no.
Well done.
No.
So if he's doing numbers, I'll give him 5. Whatever.
Y'all know the Charles Barkley clip where it's like they get on TV and they're like, I got 3. I got 2 words for you. Steve Nash and Chris Paul must see TV, and they're like, that's like 10 words. And they're like, all right, Nash and Paul, and they're like, that's still 3 words. That's what JV just did.
I love it. I mean, it's facts though. It's facts.
It's a stat line.
That it is, JB. That it is. Okay. All right. One last game before we talk midweeks quickly. We'll do the worry meter. All right, guys. If 10 is, again, as Jake and I played earlier, no worries. This is totally fine. And 0 is utter panic. The alarm bells have been ringing for a minute now. Where are we at with Arizona, JB?
You might be at a 10. I mean, they've won 1 game. The offense looks absolutely terrible, and they've lost to bad teams as well. Some of them not great. You know, UConn came in 0-3. Not good. And the pitching we hyped up, not good either. So hasn't been good. Both of them.
Ultimate panic, you're saying?
Yeah, it's a 10 out of 10 right now. It's sinking ship fast.
And I see that you're also getting off board with your boy Smith Bailey too. Then is what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, all the Pods boy Smith Bailey, down the ship.
Yeah.
A lot of people's draft boy Owen Kramkowski sinking real fast too. It's not a good look.
Indeed. Jake, the worry meter with Arizona. What are you saying?
I mean, I'm right there. I mean, if we can go more worrisome than the scale, I think we can go past it. Like there's just nothing really. There's just not much happening. Like the offensive players that you expect to hit are just not hitting. The JB just talked about the pitchers are not doing well. Smith Bailey's has like all right stat lines, but like he can't be the only guy that's doing anything all weekend, right? Like I don't know.
Jake, that's your boy.
I'm pretty worried. I'm pretty worried about Arizona.
All right. Well, Josh, it is up to you. What's the worry meter with you in Arizona? You feel good about this, right?
I don't want to be super overreactionary, so I'll go like 9.5 because that as crazy as it sounds, I don't think is that ridiculous at this point. I mean, the offense has no redeeming qualities. It's been their past 6 games, they've scored 5 runs at the most, and usually they're trotting out 1 and 2 run performances. Like they got nothing going for them on that front. It's really concerning.
Tony Lira's batting over 300.
Woohoo!
That's what you get, Arizona. That's a thumbs up from me, baby. You hold that. Put it on your resume. Thumbs up from Drew Wheeler. All right, midweek, guys. We've got some series to talk about. We do need to keep on the accelerator talking about the midweek games. Jake, we're going to start with you. What midweek is kind of catching your eye the most?
Yeah, I want to talk about Troy versus Georgia this week. The pitching for Troy hasn't been too great this year so far. Last midweek, they sort of went pitching by committee, and that could be the route they take again this week. But like hitters for them, Sean Darnell, Drew Nelson, Jimmy Janicki, Josh Pine, Aaron Piasecki are all hitting well, but the midweek pitching has me worried, especially against Georgia. Zach Brown started for Georgia last midweek against Upstate. He went 2 innings, 2 strikeouts, 1 run, but it was also a similar approach where they just used a ton of guys to see kind of what they had there. But this Georgia offense, I think, is on a different level than even what Troy's doing right now. They got 6 starters with an OPS over 1,000. The offense as a whole is hitting for a ton of power right now. I think this game's is going to be a slugfest, and I'm ready to see what the offense can do.
Love it. Can't wait to see it. JB, I imagine there's some kind of an interesting midweek going on between some California teams. What do you got?
Yeah, San Diego State and UCLA will be playing. I think we obviously have a favorite in the matchup. I guess the biggest storyline is going to be watching if Angel Cervantes goes again and, how good he looks compared to his last outing, and kind of just watching the Roch Show and Gasparino, I guess.
The Roch Show featuring its opener, Gasparino. Love it.
Yeah,
Love
exactly.
It. Josh, where are your eyes focused towards in the midweek? Surely it's not one of your favorite teams.
I'm never beating the allegations at this point. It's out of hand.
His favorite.
I got a little bit different rooting interest in this one too. Alabama travels to Hattiesburg to play Southern Miss this weekend. And I mean, like, more than just a personal rooting interest from that perspective, I'm really interested to watch this matchup, just mostly because these are two teams known for their offense. But the pitching looked really good in the midweek last week. For Alabama, JT Blackwood went out there and threw 6 scoreless innings, only allowing 2 hits. Camden Sundstrom for Southern Miss threw 3 innings of scoreless ball, only allowing 1 hit, struck out 5 guys. But they kind of had like more of an opener role for him. It was more of a committee approach, but they still held up really well. So something's got to give. The really good pitching that we've seen from both teams in the midweek, really good offense, game over game. Something's got to give. Should be fun. Should be a fun environment.
Absolutely, man. I think so. You were actually trying to bring down Alabama from the inside or later last week. You were at Bryant Denny, and I saw you like throwing some stink bombs or something. You were doing some crazy stuff there on campus. So good stuff. Final midweek game we'll talk about, guys. We just finished our top 25, and 2 of our top 25 teams are actually playing in a midweek series Tuesday and Wednesday. We're going to get Arizona State, TM, a Drew Wheeler team, taking on maybe the surprise banger of the season in Oklahoma. Tuesday and Wednesday, I know what we're doing, watching those games. Am I right? Guys, I know that they're not on, because we don't do pick up for the midweek, but I'm just curious. Who would you pick between these teams, JB? You going to go Arizona State or Oklahoma?
Surprisingly, against my West Coast obligations, I'm taking Oklahoma.
Oh, my gosh. Jake, who would you take?
I think I'm also going to go Oklahoma.
Josh, don't leave me alone here.
Don't worry, Drew. I got you. I've been on the Arizona State train for a while, too. I'll say they'll probably split it, for being honest, but I'll take Arizona State with a better chance to sweep.
Probably. I expect to split myself, but I'll stick with the Sun Devils. They have been immensely impressive thus far this season. The offense looks great, guys. It feels like kind of what you said a minute ago about LSU, JB. That really is the same with Arizona State. I feel like if it's not, New Contreras, then we've got, it's just such a deep lineup, and they go off at different points. Toigo has been really solid. It's just a great lineup out there in Arizona State. Guys, what a great episode. We've talked about a ton of stuff, got a lot of fun in, a lot of jokes, a lot of good games that we played in the midst of the episode. Hope you guys enjoyed it at home, of course. But I do want to let you guys know where you can find us in between our episodes, starting, of course, with Mr. Catlett. Tell them what you're working on and where they can find you between episodes of College Baseball Now.
Yeah, you can follow me on X at JoshCatlett3. I'll have my rankings up on there for the week by the time this releases. I did some work for the Daily Sheet on the website today, so go check that out. Wrote up on some ACC guys. Got my Live Looks article from a few days ago. So, yeah, that's most of my new stuff. Go check that out.
Josh, did you notice on the site that I referenced you in 2 Daily Sheets this weekend?
No.
Well, you should go read a little closer then.
As should everybody listening to this.
Good.
Gosh, I'm getting so good at this.
You're getting very good at this. Jake, where can people find you between episodes and what you're working on?
You can follow me on Twitter at Jake Barge. The snow is still up here in Pennsylvania. Like it just went away yesterday with the rain, and then we're getting like 9 more inches of snow tonight. Like it's unbelievable. There's no baseball going on at all, so it's really hard for me up here. But as far as things I'm actively working on, I have my mid-major rankings that should come out updated in the next couple days. Might have a pretty cool draft interview coming up, so be on the lookout for that. But other than that, that's what I got.
Very nice. We'll have new teams next week to compare to Oregon State's offense, so that's going to be good to know. Thank you, Jake. Coach, appreciate you always. And JB, where can they find you between episodes? What are you working on?
Yeah, at JB_Sebastiano on Twitter. Gonna have some live looks coming out, kind of like compounding at this point, I guess. The ECU and Indiana ones. So have a lot of that, some midweek stuff too. So be on the lookout for that.
Definitely do. And if you're interested, you can find me on the Twitter machine, on Instagram, and on Blue Sky at Drew is okay. Love to talk with you about ball there as much as I can, trying to fill you in on what's going on with the team at Prospects Live. As Josh alluded to a minute ago, the daily sheet is really rolling right now. I think we have put out 6 of them, boys, as of when you're reading this. So a lot of writing, about players in college baseball. There's all kinds of good stuff coming out. We're going to have more list updates, all kinds of stuff. And of course, college baseball now is going to be rolling all season long. And we appreciate you leaving a like, comment, a review, 5 stars, A+, gold star, thumbs up, whatever the reviewing sentiment is on your app of choice. We'd love to have one. But anyway, until next time, for JB, for Coach Jake, for Josh, I'm Drew, and we'll see you next time. Take care and bye-bye, friends.